Okay, that's good. Awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first FGFQ info session. Thank you, first of all, for taking the time out of your day to come here at 11 o'clock in the morning. I know it's pretty early, but this info session will be about 30 minutes long. In this info session, we're just going to be talking a little bit more about what the FGFQ program looks like, especially as we are transitioning to an in-person campus, and also what to expect from our program. Throughout the presentation, if y'all do have any questions, feel free to type it either in the chat or utilize our Q&A function if you want to ask questions anonymously, and we can answer it throughout the presentation as well. We do have some time at the end for us to answer any other questions you have. So definitely if you can save those to the end as well. But all right, just to start us off with introductions. Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am a rising senior here at UC Irvine, double majoring in education sciences, social policy, and public service. I was an FGFQ mentor last year, and this year I'll be serving as the FGFQ administrative assistant, and I'll be passing it on to my colleague, Kiara.
Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. My name is Kiara Hernandez. I am an upcoming senior at UC Irvine, where I study psychology and minor in sociology. What else can I say? Sorry, y'all. Got a little sidetracked. I have been in FGFQ since my first year. I was a mentee, then decided to apply going into my junior year because I wanted to give back to a program that gave so much to me, as well as improve things that I saw fit for students. And so last year I returned as a mentor, and now I'll be another mentor for one last time. I'm gonna make the most of it for my senior year while helping everyone transition into university life as best as possible.
Thank you, Kiara. And the team y'all met today is not all of us. We do have a couple more mentors that you'll be able to interact with, maybe at our next info session or seeing soon as you are enrolling into the program. But yes, this is 2 out of other mentors that will be here as well. So what is the FGFQ program? We are a bi-quarterly 2-quarter-long program. In fall quarter, we'll be having 10 sessions, which will be presented in the form of workshops. So these are essentially workshops that are focusing on college transition, ensuring that as you are going to UCI, you are picking up skills that are crucial towards navigating it as a first-gen student. We understand that being a first-generation student coming into UC Irvine can be very nerve-wracking, of course, and very exciting at the same time. So a lot of the sessions we have here are really led by our FGFQ mentors who are also first-gen students to give you tips and guidance on really how to navigate UCI. So some examples of workshops that you may receive and that have been held last year include financial aid, course planning, tackling on mental health, time management, balancing your commitments, etc., which I thought would be very helpful when I was a first year, and also if I was to be an incoming transfer student as well. But on top of those workshops, we are also building community here within our first generation cohort in forms of weekly challenges, which are meant to really encourage y'all to take action in navigating UCI. So we might ask you to be very proactive in your course planning, finding your community, things like that. But we also have personalized events as well that are led by our FGFQ mentors. As you will be receiving a mentor, you also have the opportunity to partake in one-on-one mentorship. So you'll be able to meet with your mentor one-on-one to discuss any concerns you have, or maybe talk about what you want to be involved in the future here at UC Irvine. And since these students have been very familiar with their college experience so far, I had no doubt that they'll be giving you the best college advice that they can in order to ensure that you are transitioning smoothly here at UC Irvine. Not only will you be interacting with our first-gen mentors, but you'll also be interacting with our first-gen faculty allies, who are essentially faculty members within the School of Social Sciences who are really motivated to help out first-generation students. So throughout the program, you might interact with them at our social events, at any one of our workshops. And it's just a really great way for us to build community here under the School of Social Sciences to make sure that you are building these connections as a first-gen student. And last but not least, we also have community building events outside of our workshops. So you'll be able to interact with your mentee cohort, interact with your mentor cohort in forms of social events that will be happening here. But Kiara will be building and talking a little bit more about what kind of community building events we will have for the FGFQ program.
So these events, basically, I was a mentor last year, so everything was on Zoom, unfortunately, but that didn't mean that we had to neglect ourselves from community. This looked like having weekly study sessions from like 8 to 11 p.m. that helped us so much just because I noticed once, week 3, week 4 hit in the quarter system and midterms and finals, it was just hard to keep going, and having the community to be supported by here by FGFQ really kept everyone on our toes, not just the mentees, but us as mentors as well. Other events we had were game nights online still, but it was really fun, varying from, oh my gosh, the doodle game. Sorry, I'm like blinking, but just different online games that we could do, as well as ranging in prizes too that we gave away. When I was an FGFQ mentee, some community events we had were movie nights at one of the student housing locations. And that's something that we're able to bring back hopefully again this year, with respect to being mindful of everyone's health at the same time. And other workshops we are trying to build off on this year is, even digging into financially supporting students. Also, something we tried last year, which we'll try to bring back this year, is astrology signs and stuff like that. That'll help us understand our personalities and understand how we work with others in our lives.
And of course, we have offering session time. So just like previously mentioned before, these sessions will be occurring once a week during the fall quarter. We have around 6 different slots for y'all to choose from. So no, you don't have to attend all 6 sessions a week. You can just choose one of these sessions and attend those weekly. We will have 2 mentors leading each session, meaning that you'll be able to interact with those mostly and have one-on-ones with them. But definitely, since I know y'all have picked out your classes already during SPOP, you kind of have a general idea of what your schedule layout might look like. But obviously, we understand that your schedule might change further into the future. But these are just kind of the times that we have for y'all. They are 50 minutes long, and there are workshops, discussions, community building events, but you're not restricted to interacting with your mentors during these session times. These are just when workshops will be held, but you can expect to interact with them one-on-one at social events or even online outside of these times. So again, you can just pick one out of these sessions. We offer them both in the morning time and also in the early afternoons to accommodate towards everyone's schedule. If you by any chance are not able to attend any of these session times, please feel free to reach out to us. We will have our contact information at the end of the presentation, where we can accommodate to your schedule to make sure that you're able to participate in the program. So we do want to make this program as inclusive as possible towards everyone's schedule. So definitely reach out to us if you can. As we know, it is mid-August, but enrollment is actually open till week 3 of fall quarter. So that will be around mid-October for y'all to decide. And that's just because during week 2 of fall quarter is when is the last deadline to drop and add your classes still. So if you are still contemplating on changing your course schedules, we do want to give you that time. And so week 3 will be the finalized time to enroll. But again, we are very flexible with y'all. So if you do want to enroll past week 3, we will be making sure that we have the opportunity for you all to do so. All right. I know it's a lot of information we dumped on y'all, but if you have any questions again, feel free to use the Q&A or the chat. And we're happy to answer any of the questions, whether it be logistical questions or just questions about our program's experience overall. Oh yeah, here it is. The time for y'all to ask us any questions that you have, whether it be about the program, the timing, or anything like that. I will give y'all a 15 seconds window or even a 30 seconds window to ask your questions. But if not, we do have sample questions as well that may be helpful for y'all where we will be answering these questions for you all. So any questions so far? I wish I had the Kahoot music playing, but it's okay.
Yes.
All right, so we have a question. One person asked, may I ask how to enroll this program? Yes. The enrollment information will be presented at the end of this slideshow, but I can also copy and paste the link, or if Kiara or Patrick can copy and paste a link to our FGFQ website. Um, this website is a great resource for y'all. You're able to figure out more in detail about what the program is, but there is also a Google form or interest form for you to enroll in this program. So once that link is in the chat, that would be awesome. Awesome, there you go. This enrollment form shouldn't be too long to fill out. It's really just to gauge your interest so that we can pair you up to a mentor. It's not an application, so we do bring in everyone who is enrolling into the program. Thank you for asking that question. Any other questions that you all may have? That was a really awesome question as well. Okay. If not, the window is closing. It's getting closer. All right. So if we don't have any questions, we have sample questions for y'all. I think the first question that may be very common for everyone that's wondering is that, will this program be in person or online? As you know, COVID policies are changing throughout the year. So the answer I'm giving you now is based on current UCI campus policies. And as of right now, classes in the FGQ session is intended to be in person. So these workshop sessions will be happening in person on campus. But if you would like online accommodations, if for any reason, definitely let us know. We are currently looking into ways to make this a little bit more accommodating for our participants who will be enrolling in this program online. But as of right now, if you are enrolling into the program, be in the mindset that right now we are anticipating a lot of our social events, workshops to be in person, but it is up to your mentors as well if they want to host workshops or outside events in person or online as well. So we're trying to have that hybrid option, but for most workshops, we are doing an in-person activity. Looks like we have another question coming in. We are very aware that everyone's times and course schedules are constantly changing. So if your course schedules are online and the time is TBA, it is definitely okay to change your schedule throughout the FGQ enrollment. So my tip for y'all is if you are waiting to finalize your course schedules, then you can wait a little bit to enroll into FGQ's program. But if it seems like that's not the case until the beginning of fall quarter and you want to at least attend the first 3 workshops, then I advise you to enroll in the FGFQ program for now. And if your course schedule is changing later on, you can reach out to your mentors or also us as well, and we will find ways for us to switch you to different sessions. The only reason why we want you to enroll early is because we are hosting workshops in the first 3 weeks. So if you do want to make the most out of those first 3 workshops, definitely enroll early and then change your schedules with us later on. All right, good questions. Any other questions coming in? All right, so a question from our end that we will be asking our mentors is, what were a few things you were involved in on campus? So Kiara, if you want to answer that question first, you can definitely do that.
Yeah, of course. So entering into my freshman year, I for sure knew that I wanted to work part-time, and thankfully enough, I was able to get work study while still go to school. I wanted to make some extra income for myself and didn't really want to rely on my parents as much, especially as a young adult. So a job I had was through Jumpstart, where I would go to a school in Santa Ana and basically teach preschool students English, And it was so meaningful to me, and it was just still awesome that I was able to get paid through work study and not work crazy hours compared to having an off-campus job. Another thing I was involved in was a bilingual research lab. My second year, I did that for a whole year. And it was really good to gain research experience in terms of knowing how grad school works and making sure that grad school is something that I would want to pursue once I'm done with college. But you guys still have a lot of time for that. Something else I joined in terms of my social life was a Chicana Latina based sorority called Phi Lambda Rho. Through that, I gained a lot of confidence and I gained a lot of independence and really good study habits as far as how to balance academics from social life. And more recently, I joined Acacia Counseling and Wellness. It's an off-campus counseling center at UTC, which is right across from UCI. So having that insight as to what I would like to do in the counseling field was such a great asset to have this year. And aside from that, I'm also a practicing Catholic, so I lead Bible studies on campus and have community in that aspect too.
Awesome. Thank you, Kira. She's very involved, as you can tell. And it's very easy to get involved once you are starting the school year. For me, during my very first year, I wanted to try out dancing. So I was involved in a dance team for the past 4 years now. And through there, I was able to find my own community. It wasn't very academic oriented, but also for me personally, when I was looking into clubs and orgs, I wanted something that was more social based at first. Later on, I was involved in student government. So ASUCI, kind of think of it as the ASB, but college version. So I was involved in that for a few years. As previously mentioned before, I was also a mentor under the FGFQ program as a job, but I'm also a peer academic advisor this year for the School of Education. So I help students plan out their course schedules, host workshops for education students, and also just discuss grad school opportunities with them as well. I was also a part of a mentorship program, not specifically FGFQ, and that's just because I was in a social sciences major when I was a first year, but it was called the Ant Leader Mentorship Program, or AMP for short, where I definitely experienced the benefits of a mentorship program to really guide me through UCI. I would say my very first quarter was very rough here, but having a mentor to guide me through that process was definitely a learning experience for me, and I always recommend that for everyone. Um, for y'all, there are a lot of ways to get involved, and one of those big events would be the Anteater Involvement Fair happening in the very first week of school, which we call week 0. So definitely keep out a lookout for 600 different clubs and orgs we have here on campus. Another resource I recommend for y'all is also UCI campus groups. This is just where a lot of our on-campus orgs are hosting events either online or in person, but you're really able to figure out what groups you want to be involved in. You're able to filter out based on interest. And if I am correct right now, some of the campus orgs are actually hosting events throughout the summer as well. So if you are looking into what orgs you want to be involved in right now, it's never too early to look into what you want to be involved in, I would say. So the earlier you start, the better. But what we have are just a few of the 600 clubs and orgs we offer here at UCI. All right. As we are waiting for more questions coming in the next 10 seconds, we do have another question from our side, which is, how did you find a balance between your academic workload and your other commitments? Kiara, if you want to answer that one.
Yeah, of course. So I would say a huge shift, a good shift actually, was when I joined my sorority. And I'm not saying you have to join a sorority in order to like balance work life from social life. Like that's not it at all. It's just that I was required to like have a certain amount of study hours. So I caught myself in the library pretty often my sophomore year, while still having a social life and hanging out with friends afterwards. And even once that wasn't required of me anymore, I still tried to like maintain good study habits by um, this past year having like Zoom classes. I would try to stick to my class schedule as best as possible so I wouldn't fall behind, and then I could use the rest of the day to set aside of time, like maybe a couple hours to study, while also make sure like I'm making dinner for myself. I'm doing something for just like an hour a day where I can rest, whether that's cleaning my room, listening to music, going out for a walk. That's been really important. And even though obviously school can get kind of chaotic depending on midterms and finals, it's important to always still put yourself first and make sure that you're caring for yourself, because if not, then who will? So it's every quarter is different. We all have different expectations, different obligations, but through that, just always make sure to prioritize you.
I second that one. I think for me, adding on to what Kiara said, definitely learning what my limit was. I know in high school, I liked to do everything when I was in high school, and in college, I would say I changed a little bit, but this time I really definitely recognized that the quarter system is very fast paced. It is a 10-week long system, so all your classes go by really quickly, which can be a challenge initially when you are transitioning to UCI, especially when it comes to time management and balancing your workload. So for me, something that I discovered over the years here at UC Irvine is definitely being on top of planning things in advance. So what that looks like, week 0, once I got my syllabus and my classes, I input all my deadlines right away so that I didn't make the mistake of forgetting when my midterms were, which happened in my very first year. So definitely don't recommend that. And so you're also able to kind of figure out what days you want to study and what days you can visually see when you can make time for yourself. The same way that I input my workload and my commitments onto my calendar, I also input a time period onto my calendar for self-care time. So, this could be times to make meals, could be times to just relax and watch Netflix. Because one of the worst things that can happen to you is figuring out that you're burnt out and sick during finals week, and therefore you don't really have that energy to study. I think for me, my first 2 quarters, that was kind of what I did, overworking myself, then getting sick, and then not being able to fully dedicate those times to really study. It's also okay to say no. I think that's one thing that I was really proud of. A lot of social events are going to be bound to happen during your first 4 years at UC Irvine. So finding that balance between your workload and your personal commitments can also be very helpful. And just also, it's nice to have time alone to yourself. It may not sound like it during COVID because we had time alone to ourselves for 2 years, but once you are on campus or just getting really involved at UCI, having time to yourself can be very relaxing. And I think just kind of finding that balance to where you're not only a student at UCI, but you are also a human trying to find your way around UCI's campus is very important to realize. And I think I figured it out too late, to be honest. So during my junior year, I was finally relaxing, but I want y'all to relax, as soon as you step onto campus right away. So yeah, that's one advice from me. Any other questions coming in before we ask our last question, and then we'll go over how to enroll into the FGFQ program. All right. I hope these questions are helpful, that you are taking something away from them. But this is just a sneak peek of what you can get from our workshops as well. So, all right. The last question that we have is, what is something you wish you learned in your very first year at UC Irvine? And Kiara, you can start us off with that.
Yeah, of course. Mine would have been take risks. I know it sounds vague, but in terms of there's just different opportunities that arise here, whether it's academic, whether it's socially, and at least in terms of academics, like let's say you get asked to join a research lab, but you're scared because you don't have experience, apply. If you have a slight interest in joining a club, but you're not sure because you don't know anyone, it's okay. You'll make friends. Join. Just you only have these 4 years, and trust me, they go by so fast because I'm still in shock that I'm already going to be a senior along with Kevin. Like, what? So nothing that you do in your life you should regret. The only regret you would have is like not doing something that you wanted to do. So don't live with that regret of not trying out of fear, not trying out of not being comfortable. It's okay. And if you happen to not like whatever it is that you end up trying, that's okay. You can also have the freedom to leave as well. But that's something that I'd suggest.
Really good advice. Thank you, Kiara. I think one advice that which I learned is just be comfortable with asking for help and for guidance. Appreciate maybe it's a first gen thing, but in high school, like I just never really wanted to ask for help because it felt like I was the only person who's going through my educational journey alone, especially as y'all would be the first ones to enter college, right? You feel like you might be the only person navigating college alone, and you might not have that support system with you. But at UCI, whether it be your mentors, your peer support group, your academic advisors, or also on-campus resources, a lot of these resources are really here to support you, and most of them are free. I say free because they are included in your tuition, so free, use them. Some resources that I never saw myself using, but eventually gave into later on was definitely the counseling center. We do offer 10 free counseling sessions a quarter, which is once a week. I was definitely scared to go during my very first time, but I started to realize that you can really open up to your counselor about really anything. I think the first time I was there, I was just talking about how stressed I was and how homesick I was. And I was like, I don't know if you can help me because it's a very small problem, but they are really there to listen to you and really get you through those. And some of them are short term, some of them are long term. I also asked help from my mentors and just also asked around, kind of like, hey, you were involved in this, right? What is something that I can do to be involved in that? Or, hey, we're in the same class. Do you think you can kind of give me some tips and advice on what you did when you were taking this class? And I think that's just really helpful because it helped you realize that you're not really alone here. Um, it's nice to know that I'm not the only first gen student here at UC Irvine, and that a lot of the challenges that we face along the way are very common to first gen students. Even for me and Kiara, when we worked as mentors, during the year, we were kind of like, oh, we're kind of going through the same struggles at the same time, but it felt nice that we were able to support each other during that way. So definitely don't feel alone when you are navigating here at UC Irvine. You do have a very large support system, and even though it may not feel like it right now, I I highly doubt that, or I'm full confidence that when you are going into UC Irvine, there will be people reaching out to you and offering to be your support system. But it's definitely up to you to kind of step out to take their hand in that process. It may feel uncomfortable at first. Not gonna lie, it wasn't comfortable for me, but it helped a lot during that time. But yeah, all right. So I am wanting to be respectful of everyone's time. So I am going to be accepting last questions, but we do encourage you to connect with us. Definitely check out several links. We do have an Instagram account. And so you'll be able to see updates from us through there. Our website's also here, but we also do have a QR code available for you all to scan if you are looking into enroll into the FGFQ program. So if you want to enroll now, awesome. We are open to that. But if you want to wait until week 3, that is also a very great thing. That's also okay. You have any questions, or again, like I mentioned previously, if you had any scheduling conflicts with what's mentioned, this is our email here. You can definitely reach out to us. We will try to get back to you as soon as possible in order to make sure that we are able to accommodate to y'all or just answer any questions that you might not answer here. But other than that, thank you y'all for taking your time out of today to attend our FGQ info session. It's really amazing to see how many first gens are really excited about the program. And we are very excited into seeing your interest forms and enrollment forms as well. But yeah, if you have any questions, definitely you can stay after or just email us from here. But other than that, if Patrick and Kiara have any other final words to say.
Congratulations. Welcome to
Yay.
the FGFQ family. We're here for you. Please join us.
Yes, congratulations on coming into UCI. I know it's very hard to apply in the middle of COVID, but we're really excited to have you part of the FGQ fam or just even under the School of Social Sciences as well. All right, awesome. All right, if you already filled out the form, do wait for an email later on. Yes, if you fill out the form, we will be reaching out to you in the next few weeks, actually, to have you start pairing up with your mentor. So definitely keep a lookout for that as well. All right, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we can pause recording.